Alright, so nagbabalik tayo sa ating violin tips and tricks. And for today's video, let's talk about bow hold and why your bow hold might look different from other people, Ayan. So pag-usapan natin what makes it different or why is it different and how you can check if it's correct or not. Ayan. So basically, when we talk about bow holds, there's a ton of ways to hold on to the bow. There's not one correct way or one exact way. Hindi siya nag-iisa lang. There are many ways to hold on to it. Why? Because generally, we all have different hands. Yeah, no? Not everyone has the same length of fingers, same palm size, same hand size, same thickness of the fingers, yung fingertips, iba-iba. Lahat yan iba, diba? And that is really important to know because you can't really make an exact copy of one person's bow hold because it all boils down to your body. No, we can't change that. Yun yung part ng katawan mo na yun. So we have to find ways to look around or try to find other ways to check if it's correct or not. Okay? So dito tayo mag-focus on today's video. So first things first, your hands will be different and it doesn't mean that it's bad, no? Minsan iba-iba yung size, iba-iba yung length, no? For example, my index finger is shorter than my middle and my ring finger. Some people have a long index finger or a long ring finger. So, nakadepende talaga yun. Plus, if you look at my hands, they're very, very fat. Yeah, my fingers are fat. So, my bow hold would be drastically different from a person that has very thin fingers or very small palms and small hands. Or kahit yung mga mahahaba din, no? Magkaiba rin yun. So, the main thing to consider in your bow hold is always going to be one, the contact points. Number two is the flexion, no, kung paano siya nag-flex, and of course how relaxed you are in doing certain bow holds. So let's first focus on contact points. Of course, contact points will remain the same, but it will also differ. Ayan, medyo complicated, no? A general rule of thumb nga, sabi natin, is to put it here. But what if your fingers are too far away? Diba? So it would be harder for you to control the bow if your fingers are farther away from your hand. Kasi, mas less yung control dun because you are farther away. Diba? So, it's just a rule that you could actually try to fine-tune for yourself, no? If, for example, your hands are short, your fingers are short, you would want to have it a little bit higher kasi hindi mo naman na makokontrol ng ayos. No? It sits on the middle ground. No? And those rules are there for you to use as a guide. They are not there na sila lang talaga yung kailangan mo i-follow. So, yun. For example, contact points with your fingers. As long as your fingers are not slipping or sliding down the bow when you hold them in the proper position, that position will work for you, no? Whether that contact point is a little bit higher kung medyo maiksi yung daliri mo or fairly close if your fingers are long, di ba? It will not mean na mali na agad, no? As long as you can keep that position throughout the duration of the time that you are using the bow. No, kung hindi mo siya makip dun sa position na yon and it keeps slipping, it keeps falling off, baka may mali. That's the time you check your technique. No? If your fingers are there, fully supported, fairly relaxed, you can move it at will, so walang magiging problem. No? Whether that's right here, very close, or it's here, a little bit farther away, as long as you can control that, your bow hold would be good. No? Yun. So, sa contact points pa lang, makikita mo na kung tama o mali. no? Another thing is how you could flex or move the bow with your fingers, no? Because if you are too far, for example, na ganito mo siya hinahawakan, of course, it would be hard for you to pull it back or even extend even more. Kasi if this is your neutral position, how can you flex? How can you contract? How can you carry the bow properly? No, I don't think carry is the right term, but you get the idea of being able to move the bow freely. No? So, hahanapin mo yung sweet spot na yun. You'll try to find that sweet spot for you wherein you can pull the bow up, push it down without adding tension or adding effort na baka pwedeng makasira sa ginagawa mo, diba? So, make sure that you can freely control your bow. Another thing is on the palm. On the hand, backhand, no? So, a lot of people, pinipilit talaga nila minsan habulin yung bow hold nung pinapanood nila, let's say, or whoever. But the thing is, they end up like this. So, lumalabas na yung ating knuckles. Now, when the knuckles are protruding or nakalabas siya, ibig sabihin nun, we are not relaxed, no? We have tension building up right here. So, ganyan yung nangyayari usually, di ba? Pag may hinahabol kang bow hold. So, ano yung nangyayari doon? Nagkakaroon ng tension, you're not relaxed, so, your playing will be, it's going to be slippery, magiging sliding, or it would squeak and scratch. No, ganun yung mga pwedeng possibilities because you're tense up here, no? So even if you're fat, even if you're thin, one thing to note is that at least until the part that connects to the stick of your fingers, so this joint right here, until your wrist is a straight line. Try to keep it as straight or as flat as possible. So of course, it extends to your elbow. So try to keep it like that. Even if I'm going on an up bow, as you can see, it's still fairly flat. Meron lang pumalabas na konti, of course, because we are trying to extend. But we don't want the neutral position to be like that. Ayan. So, kung neutral position mo to, wala ka pang ginagawa, you're not playing with the down or up bow, you might have something wrong with your technique. No? So, yun yung kailangan mong ayusin because it's not normal. Hindi siya maayos. No? There's tension building up that could cause injuries, that could make your playing a little bit harder than what needs to be done. So, yun yung aayusin. And then the last one is, of course, your relaxed state. What do we mean by that? So, a lot of tension nga that's happening aside from here because of the flexing is on your pinky. No? So, sa pinky natin, madalas napupunta lahat. Because this finger position is the one with the least amount of support. But carries most of the burden. Why? Kasi the pinky is responsible for this movement, no, yung pag-angat natin ng bow. But as you can see, the position of the pinky, it sits on top of the bow. So wala siyang support. So people tend to have their pinkies fall off a lot of times, no? That's why other techniques, no, especially for bigger stringed instruments, put the pinky down, no? But for violins kasi usually dito sa atin siya nilalagay. Okay, so if this tenses up, everything follows, no? So when you do a down bow stroke with your fingers down, the pinky is the one initiating that downstroke, and when you push it up, it's also the pinky that does the work. So keeping this part of your finger as relaxed as possible, if there is no work to be done or if there's no load given to it, is the key to having smooth bowing, no? Kahit na iba yung itsura niya, as long as it's relaxed, no? At the end of the day kasi, your bow hold should not look forced. No? Hindi siya pilit. It shouldn't look tense. There shouldn't be fingers that are locking, no? Naglalaki yung fingers na hindi natin maigalaw ng tama. It should be smooth as possible, no? Whether you're doing a down bow or an up bow. Of course, it will also depend on your technique. But at the end of the day, you wouldn't want to have something na nahihirapan. You don't want this na naninigas. Because, again, when things are tense, when your body is tense, it's prone to injuries. You might have problems, not just with the quality of the sound, but with your body as well. Mas mabilis kang mapagod, mas mabilis kang mawala ng gana kasi nga hindi mo mapapalabas ng tama yung tunog. So as much as possible, keep your body in check, no? Don't try to just look and okay na yun, basta mukhang tama, pwede na, no? You try to find the best possible position for you, no? Whether it would look off, maybe just a bit, okay lang. And then, makikita mo na at the end of the day, it would become better and it would look like it's fairly effortless for you to hold the bow. That is the end point of practicing your bowing or your bow hold, is to make sure that the way you hold on to your bow looks effortless. As if hindi mo siya pinipilit gawin. Yeah. So if this video helped you out, drop a like, comment down below more content you'd like to see, and of course subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on all my socials. Links down in the description box below. This has been Ryan Monakil for Violin Tips and Tricks, and I'll see you on the next.